DreamWorks called The Wild Robot. Okay? So I finally braved it out, decided to watch it on one of the streaming services. It starts Lupita Nyong'o as the main character, robot, and you got, Hamill and all these other actors who pop up playing Pedro Pascal. He's the fox in this thing. You got a young kid, Kit Connor. He plays Brush Bill or whatever. Brush Bill. He's the duck. He's the little duck that the robot ends up, whatever. Yeah, spoiler alert. So if you haven't seen it, your fault. It's been out for a little while. And I'm telling you, you got a whole bunch. Mark Hamill, he plays the bear. You have Bill Nye, who plays the older goose that they confront, that the duck goes with later on. Ving Rhames, he plays Thunderbolt. He plays like a tough as nails goose or whatever. There's a whole bunch of animals and voice actors, I'm pretty sure of it. But the main one is Lupita Nyong'o. This one was like, guys, about an hour and 33 minutes or something like that. In my personal opinion, could have been an hour. But anyways, it's directed by Chris Sanders. And it came out, I want to say, 2024, okay? So I went into this thing. You guys seen my reaction, what I thought, I was impressed, but I wasn't, like, blown away by it, And I think it's one of those things. It looks spectacular. Don't get me wrong. Well animated. It's the one thing from beginning to end that it does not lack is the animation is top notch. Like DreamWorks, bravo. Storyline, like I said, it took me maybe the first 10 or 15 minutes to really get into it. And then I'm like, okay, this is what it's going to be about. It's going to be about this robot who gets somehow abandoned. It's going to wake up, and then it's going to have to pretty much eventually over time learn to live in the wild to survive. Because I know it's been created to kind of like serve people, and it has tasks. And when it realizes it can't follow through on that because it's not possible because it's surrounded by animals, it doesn't. But there's one point that it comes across something tragic happens there. With, I guess, the little duckling the goose that he ends up coming across as a little thing that hatches out of egg, and that's his task, to take care of it so he can raise it and then whatever, do its own thing. And, it's kind of funny at the beginning when he's trying to go to the different animals to ask, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? And then can't figure out what to do. And the way was like robotic. And then there's like she comes across, I guess, a field of all these things, and she kind of realizes a little bit of the history of what her purpose is. And then she finds herself, creates her own little voice and all this stuff, becomes an important part of all the animals. You meet different interactions there. And then she ends up taking her goose after raising it for a little while to go with the rest, but they're treating it weird because of the robot and find that weird. And it's like something that almost happens. And she's trying to teach him how to swim to be like the other ones. And then feels like he's being ostracized as an outsider. And that's when Bill Nighy's character comes in and says, you know what? Get him to fly up in the air, blah, blah, blah. The winter is coming because they have to fly. And the duck is already, everything's against it. Wings are small, weak, all this stuff. Do that, and then he can take and watch it. And that's what happens. That was a little bit of a touching moment when the bird literally leaves the nest and leaves it behind. And she kind of goes through her thing, the robot, and discovers other things there and all that. And then the goose that was raised by this robot ends up flying where they're going, and there's a whole bunch of them thinking it's going to act the same way, but they're not programmed the same way. So then they come back, and then there's something tragic that happens. The older Bill Nighy's character dies, and they come back, and then I'm telling you, it's a whole thing like that, which was pretty cool. It had its moments. Don't get me wrong, its feels. But I don't know, it just didn't hit me as how it should, I guess. I don't know. Maybe the king doesn't have a heart anymore. But I've seen it before, right? But it's well done. Everybody who was in it didn't sell out. They acted to the T. It was okay. And don't forget, it's more geared for kids than for me. So that's why it was kind of like, yeah, tune me out. And I think you even mentioned in the reaction, if you want to see a good movie, watch Transformers. So it's whatever you prefer, right? Doesn't make it a bad film, but to me, I just didn't enjoy it too much, I liked it, but it's not like, yeah, I'm going to watch that with whoever. I'm going to sit down and with my nephew or whoever the hell wants to watch it and me volunteer to do so. No, I'm not going to be that person. I ain't going to buy it to add to my collection. It looks good. It looks well. I was maybe expecting a little bit more because when people tell King, you gotta watch this. And then maybe I got let down. My expectations maybe went too high up. I'm a little judgy a little bit there when it comes to animated things, especially when I'm watching a genre that I'm not particularly fond of, or it's not my cup of tea. I'm going to be a little harsh on it, but it was okay. It was one of the better animation films that came out recently, and a lot of people seem to like it. And, like I said, it looks fantastic for a DreamWorks film, and what they put, yeah, it's one of their best. And yeah, you know what? I would tell you guys to check it out, especially if you have kids. Go for it. Me, not my cup of tea. So there you go, guys. That's my official movie review on The Wild Robot starring Lupita Nyong'o. So check it out yourself. Go in the comment section below. Tell me your thoughts.